Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you again. I decided to bring some Black Yellow Luffy to locals the past couple of weeks. I think like week or two, maybe. I just find this deck to be super fun. And I've been playing a lot of Gecko, and I will continue to play Gecko probably for a lot of the competitive tournaments, but I just really enjoy Black Yellow Luffy as a fun, just like a change of pace, and I think this deck is super strong, super fun, and yeah, it's honestly, at the end of the day, pretty great into most matchups, especially this one, being against Katakuri, but it has tough times if it's not able to see all of its pieces, and that is what makes this a little tricky. I am rocking a very similar list to Eric Quintana that just recently got, I believe, like 10th place with Black Yellow Luffy. I think the only thing that I had was the two 5-cost Sabos instead of the 2 Violas that he runs. So pretty much the only difference. He's a beast when it comes to Black Yellow Luffy. So I was like, yeah, let me give his list a shot. But I am a big fan of that 5-cost Sabo, so I was trying it out to, be wary of a couple of the unfortunate matchups that this deck can run into sometimes. I don't think that RP Law is all too bad for this deck. It kind of just relies on them seeing Shiraya, and that's about it. But if you have that Sabo, it makes it quite a bit easier to deal with. And now I'm trying to get a little bit of pressure on my opponent's life right here, and I'm going to go ahead and use the Flampe and get the draw one. And now we've got our second Moria in hand. Love to see it. I know that sometimes Katakuris like to play the Starve game. I don't think that getting Flampe down this early is that bad, but at the same time, I didn't really give my opponent a chance to kind of attack me and see what, if he was going to play Starve or if he was going to play pretty aggressively. And he decides to play pretty aggressively, which, all things considered, isn't that bad for us. But I think it does leave me with like a, maybe I should have waited one more turn for the Flampe, just to see, if I didn't really need to do that and I could have saved the 2k in hand, because it can become very relevant later on in the match, having played that card. But I will go ahead and get down Sabo, which is really nice for us. I can go ahead and throw down Ace if I want to. I also have a 2 5-cost Luffys, which is awesome. Probably want to get one of those down the following turn, but I'll go ahead and put down Ace and Luffy, and I get a 5k swing with Leader through as well. This at least forces out a card from his hand, or he's going to have to take from his life. And I am super happy he goes down to 3 here. Was not expecting it, to be fair. And if I remember correctly, my opponent does some slick shenanigans here, which I thought was kind of dope. I hadn't seen... It was funny that I had never seen somebody do it like this before, and I loved... I just loved how simple it was when he activated his trigger. He just flipped it upside down. It was perfect. I was like, oh, that was slick, man. Dang. So he gets the Sanji onto the board. Honestly, it's always nice to have the blocker in this matchup as well, because he knows that I kind of lack removal in this deck, at least until OP07, where we get that 5-cost Luffy coming onto, the scene. But Sanji can pressure it the following turn to get me down to 0 if he really needs to, but it's a pretty solid block for, some of the higher end blocks that I can have. And if I'm not mistaken, he was a little new to the starter deck 13 cards because he had just got back from deployment. So he was like, yeah, let me read some of these cards first just to check what, some of the effects are and everything. But he understood the mission of Katakuri very well. and he wanted to, he wanted to apply pressure, but at the same time build up a solid enough board that he can kind of go for game the following turn. But he's going to pass it over with me at 1. Totally makes sense here. Leaving me at 1 is kind of inconvenient because it forces me to either play another blocker and be defensive, or it forces me to try and, take that card out of my life and then get some usage, from some of the black yellow Luffy plays that we can make. And I'm gonna go ahead and pick up Sabo here. It's always great to have a couple Sabos in hand. I'm definitely looking for Ace as well. I don't believe, or actually, we might have found one. I think we have one in hand, if I'm not mistaken. But I am gonna have to play down Hiyori here. I have a choice of whether I want to take the card, add it to hand, or just cycle it out. Like put another one back in and then use one of the kids to kind of recycle that. And I do decide to go this route because I was considering just keeping it in hand, using leader effect and adding 2, but I personally wanted to do it a little differently so that I could get my leader up to 7k and still have 1 life. So I go Luffy here. I am just going to go ahead and bring that out. I get to use his effect while I'm at 0 life, bringing him up to an 8k. Not that it's relevant while he can't attack, but it's relevant during the following turns. And now I could probably just attach 2 Dawn to my leader if I wanted to, and yeah, just get 2 cards into life. And I'm totally fine with having 2 cards in life because I know that next turn he's more than likely going to be playing down the 7-cost Lin. If he does so, trashing 1 isn't too bad. Now this is kind of like a recurring play that I do during this match that I wasn't super happy with, as I kept trashing my Sabos. I don't think it's that bad considering I have 2 Morias, but I don't think I needed 2 Morias, if I'm being completely honest. I think trashing 1 of the Sabos right here is fine. But I think I hold on to these Morias a little too much, which, it's my own fault. But he is gonna ask me if I want to trash or let him gain 1, and he's only got 1 Dawn remaining. I can pretty comfortably just trash my Luffy. Since it doesn't go to hand, it doesn't have to go to bottom of the deck, which is great. So it still puts it back in a useful spot for me, which is really nice. He is going to swing 7k here, though. Takes a look at his top life. I'm taking a look at my... Yeah, I'm taking a look at my trash. I'm kind of deciding whether I want to be countering out with certain cards or not. And I think that this... it kind of depends. But since we have Ace in hand, I think this actually would have been a great time to block with Sabo. And I kind of missed it. But, like, if I block with Sabo, I could play Ace out the following turn. Then I can add Sabo as well as, let's say Luffy back to life. And then bring out Sabo, protecting my board. I think it just would have been a better play than what I do end up kind of cooking up here. So... I've still got Ace up there. That's great and all, but having only drawn into 1 of my Sabos is also really rough. I also decided to counter out with Garp. Garp would have been nice to keep to potentially find me another 5-cost Sabo. So I think that there were just some decision-making points here that unfortunately I just didn't do correctly. So I get to draw 1 here using Luffy's effect and trash my Ace. Yeah, kind of another weird decision. I think I have the Ace in hand, or maybe it was another Luffy. I could be wrong. It might have been actually another Luffy. So if that's the case, all things considered, not too bad. But I do go a different route. I do attack with the Sabo here, which means I'm definitely going to be trying to get that back. Yeah, definitely going to be trying to get that back into my trash and then back into life and then onto the board. So I'm probably just going to play a Sabo over it, use my leader effect, all that good stuff. So I'll go ahead and rest 2. I get the Sabo in trash, and now I get the little kid Sabo down. But you see these Morias aren't really doing me much. I'm on the odd curve. I know that he's got a Lin, which is kind of annoying. These Morias are just kind of sitting here, not really doing me too much. Camera's moving a little bit, but I am gonna rest 2. I actually realized that I messed up the sequencing of this, so I decided to just take it back really quickly. You know, it's I never played the card out. I just rested 2 Dawn for a second, but I trash a Sabo again. I really think that just trashing my Moria would have been totally fine, but all things considered, I think that it's not going to be that relevant if I use Sabo first anyways, because Sabo is just going to... I hope to think that I will not make the mistake of, you know, keeping 2 Morias in hand after this. So I'll probably Sabo and then get rid of it. But I do play Viola, putting my life face down, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to get both of the characters onto the board, or even if I wanted to based off what I drew into. And there's that 5 cost Sabo. You love to see it. I can finally either choose to get it in trash or keep it in hand. Either way is very helpful. I'm thinking of the counter power though, and I decided to get rid of it. Unfortunately, that is going to keep me at a 7k right now, but Sabo is protecting everything. I'm going to go ahead and swing with 8, or yeah, swing 8 with Luffy. I still have the 2 if I want to go up to 9. If I go up to 9, I only have 3 cards with counter in hand, but I do feel relatively comfortable. Springs my leader up to 9. He gives me a pretty swift block, but I've got 2 blockers on the board, so I feel good right now. I've got Viola, I've got Sabo, but you know, what is everyone's favorite yellow card that's always kind of scary? Ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it right. Amaru. And I've got him down to 1 life, not feeling great. He hits me with an Amaru here, but I've accounted for this in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Amaru onto the leader and Lin are now both 8k. Viola's rested. That's fine. That's fine. You attach the rest of the Dawn. I'm a 9k leader. I've still got enough counter power to get out of this. Oh, you have another Amaru. So another Amaru being attached now to Lin. Lin is now an 11k. Katakuri leader is an 8k. I am starting to sweat a little bit. I'm like, wait a minute, is there a world where I lose here? And yeah, it's looking pretty grim. I do think that keeping the 8 cost Morias in this stage wasn't like super greedy, considering I didn't expect him to have like 2 or 3 Amarus, but you know, such is life. But he hits me with a 13k. I have exactly enough to get to 13. And I do choose to block here. He hits me with, would you believe it, a 3rd Amaru onto the leader. So now leader is 11k. He's got 2 Dawn remaining, bringing it up to 13. And with leader effect going up to 14, I lose on the spot. Yeah. So in a matchup that I felt very confident in, I felt very like, you know, this is a good matchup for Black Yellow Luffy. Unfortunately, I'm going to take this L because I think I made a couple of mistakes. I think I also got a little too greedy. I think countering out with the Garp was definitely not the play that one turn. I think there were multiple turns that I could have gotten Sabo into my trash and then made some plays out of that and bringing it back and cycling more cards. But unfortunately, you live and you learn. That's what it is. And that's why I like to upload these matches, because my opponent played well. He did catch me off guard with the 3 Amarus there. I don't think that's something you should like normally anticipate is 3. But yeah, it's something to think about. But hope you guys enjoyed the match. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.